This video is aimed at give you an introduction on how to assess the stance of your horse, especially when you want to see what happens with the feet. But you have to be able to look at the horse, how they stand after they run, how they stand when they eat, how they stand when you hold them, and how does it relate to you assessing the stance of a horse, and especially when it comes down to assess the quality of a foot, whether it's under the bony column or not. So there's a few steps to follow, and I'm going to go through that. And first I want to explain what happened and doesn't happen. I am not going to go into a big detail of handedness, whether a horse is left or right-handed. Right now I'm more interested in explaining how to square a horse for you to assess hoof stance as it relates to the limb. So before I start showing how to square a horse, I want to point out a few things. So in that case, this horse has been, quote, squared by me. You can see both front legs are right under the bony column, and the feet are in the front pretty much at the same level, where the left hind is slightly forward. It happens quite often. It's very hard to square horses perfectly. But in general, that's where you want to try without pushing it. And there are many reasons why horses can't, quote, square themselves, but I will not address this. But you have to be aware that horses have patterns, but you do the best to kind of keep them, as square as possible. So one pattern would be like right here. The same horse is kind of coming towards me, trying to avoid going into my space, but I could creeping under from the hind. In that case, you can see the right hind going a little bit more forward and the left front going slightly forward, or trying to not going into my space. So he's having more of a mountain goat position here, because he knows he cannot go that close to me, so he's kind of creeping. So that's one way. You do not want to assess that when you try to assess a limb and foot conformation. There are many reasons why horses have also strange stance. Like in that case, it's a little extreme, but the same horse is about to go to the bathroom, and obviously he's also bringing his hind legs a little bit more under his belly, so he can go to the bathroom. Being an Andalusian, it's easy for him to do that. So do not assess a horse in B. That's not the way to do that, okay? So another thing to not assess horses as far as looking whether the horse is standing under the bony column or not is when they eat. In that case, you have a horse that is feeding in front of a feeder. His left front is forward, the left hind is more back. There's less distance between the right hind, right front. If you were to take a look at it, you would think, well, he's left dominant, which may not be true. In this case, it's not true in this horse, but some horses it can be true because they can toggle, but some horses do not toggle. So you have to also pay attention how the horses stand when they eat. That horse is eating in a trough again, and you can see the left front going forward, the right hind, right front is much closer to each other, left hind further back. Again, not a situation you want to assess hoof. Again, they can change how they stand, so it's not very good to do that. But it tells you also, as you look at in time, if there is a pattern. So you have to pay attention how your horse eat actually, so you can see if you have a patterns or not. In that case, this horse has a pattern. He likes to lean on the left front, and that's pretty much whether the feeder is one place or the other, is going to do it. So you're not going to change that. So horses also, when they're allowed to eat loose food on their paddock without the feeder, interestingly can actually change also stance. They will have a left front forward or the right front forward, depending how they lean or point the head. So it's not exactly always black and white, that it's always the same leg that is going to point. That I think the way we feed has something to do with it. That's another horse. Again, it's loose feeding. the horse can choose where they're going to put their leg because they move around, so it's not like they're leaning on one leg versus another. I think horses have a handedness, but I have the vague impression that it's also made worse by us and how we feed horses. We did a little experiment. Those horses are not normally fed in sand. No one got hurt, but we just started putting a little piece of grass here and there and see how the horses they can meander between the little piece of grass. They keep changing also which foot they are going to lean into. So it comes down to the idea of thinking that horses actually eat like in a mowing fashion, up and down, and they do that, and that's why they always lose the left or the right leg or lean into that, but I don't think it's the case. In general, left to their own, in the wild, they will meander, hence not always constantly favoring that leg. They are left-handed or right-handed. I think we're making those horses worse by the way we feed them also.